What would you do if the place you called home was deemed illegal by those who thought they owned the world? For Jack Harlan, that question wasn't hypothetical. His floating cabin, a patchwork of weathered wood and stubborn dreams, bobbed quietly on Lake Serenity's edge, a defiant speck against the gleaming yachts of Marina Cove. Jack had built it with his own hands, a sanctuary after years of loss: his wife, his job, his faith in people. But the Marina Cove HOAA clique of self-important elites saw his cabin as an eyesore, a blemish on their pristine $2 million empire of docks and wealth. They wanted it gone, and they called the cops to make sure it happened. Jack wasn't a man of wealth, but he was a man of stories. He'd spent decades as a title clerk, buried in dusty courthouse records, untangling property disputes for others while his own life unraveled. The cabin was his rebellion, his way of saying he still had something left to fight for. Every nail, every plank, was a piece of his soul. So when the HOA's president, Margaret Voss, a woman with a smile as cold as the lake's depths, sent him a notice demanding he vacate, Jack didn't budge. He knew something they didn't: a secret buried in the marina's history, one he'd uncovered years ago in a forgotten file. The morning the police arrived, Jack stood on his deck, coffee mug in hand, watching the patrol boat cut through the mist. Two officers, young and uneasy, stepped onto his cabin's swaying platform. "Sir, we've got a complaint," one said, glancing at a clipboard. "This structure violates marina codes." Jack's eyes twinkled. "Codes? Check the deed first, officer. Lot 47, registered 1983. The officers exchanged looks, unsure. Margaret, watching from the shore with her arms crossed, smirked, certain of her victory. Here's where the twist comes in: not just for Jack, but for everyone watching. The officers radioed for backup, but not for the reason Margaret expected. A third figure arrived, not in uniform, but in a wrinkled suit, carrying a briefcase. It was Clara, a retired paralegal who'd worked with Jack years ago. She'd been his confidant, his partner in navigating legal mazes, and now, his secret weapon. Clara had no love for HOAs either. Her own home had nearly been taken by one years back. When Jack called her the night before, she'd dusted off her old contacts and dug deeper into the marina's records. "Officers," Clara said, her voice steady, "this marina's title is invalid." She handed them a yellow document, its edges frayed but its words clear. The marina, built on land leased from the state, had a clause. Any structure on Lot 47, Jack's lot, held priority rights to the entire property if the leaseholder defaulted. And the HOA had defaulted, years ago, by failing to renew a critical permit. Jack's cabin, that eyesore, was the legal linchpin to the entire marina. In 5 minutes, with one signature, Jack claimed ownership. Margaret's face drained of color as the officers explained. The crowd of yacht owners, gathered now, whispered in shock. Jack didn't gloat, but his smile was sharp enough to cut through their arrogance. He could have raised the marina, sold it for millions, but that wasn't his way. Instead, he offered a deal. The HOA could stay, but the rules would change. No more evictions, no more elitism. The marina would be a place for every yachtsman, fisherman, even those with floating cabins like his. Clara stayed that evening, sharing a beer with Jack on the cabin's deck. "You didn't have to save them," she said, nodding toward the yachts. Jack shrugged. "I didn't save them. I saved this." He tapped the cabin's railing, his home, his heart. The sunset bled across the lake, and for the first time in years, Jack felt anchored, not just to the water, but to himself. The HOA learned a lesson that day. Power isn't in wealth or titles, but in knowing your ground and standing on it. Jack's cabin still floats, a quiet rebellion against a world that tries to dictate who belongs. And the marina? It's still worth $2 million, but now it's a place where stories like Jack's can find a home. Yindi.